And hello. I have a doggo today. Good doggo. Good boy. I acknowledged him, though. That was maybe a mistake. See how good doggo he is. There we go. All right. Just receiving some Discord messages from people. People messaging me. One moment. Okay. Alrighty, so I finished all these things. I guess. Well, I had to join the Discord. I don't think I actually copied this. Did I? I just morphed the morse made on Twitch into join the Discord. Interesting. That was nice of me, I guess. Well, I saved that scene. I'll maybe do that later. Just don't want to deal with it now, cause I just don't feel like doing them. So, I'm just not gonna do it. I'm gonna look at some stuff that I was doing in Discord, which is I have. Why does Discord never want to drag? Some thoughts about. I was thinking thoughts about how to set up some more inventory stuff, you know, or more items that I can be giving people when they're walking through the environment. And I'm just gonna move over to the menu scene. Okay. I might just get paint out to explain this, because I want to make a little bit of a recording, probably based off what I'm going to talk about here. But then anyone here is welcome to chime in and chat what they think about it. Assuming the dog doesn't want to go crazy and bark, bark, bark. But right now, essentially, I have health and I have stress. Those are my two resources that the player has to manage, right? So you have to not get damaged. And let's write these in separate little sections. Health, stress, right? And then why don't we even do like a little, why don't we get real fancy? We make a little cross. Little cross chart here. This is really fancy. And then we have things here. Doggo. No bark. Go down. Lay down. Lay down, Kirby. He's in treat mode now. I disturbed him. I shouldn't have disturbed him. That was my mistake. So there's sinks, and then there's gains, I guess. I don't know what to call them. So right, you lose that by taking damage, obviously. And then you gain it back by using bandages. That's basically the only two things here. For stress, though, there's a few more. There's the passive stress. And then there's also the failing chess type thing. Wait, you mean like Enos and you're another? Why do you keep making accounts? It's like you. I assume by when you say "yo, I'm back," it's me. Is that you're the Enos guys? But I could be wrong. I could have forgotten. Yeah. All right. Okay. One second. Sedatives in succeeding chess. No. No. Paint man. Okay. Succeeding chess. And then also sedatives. Okay, and then we have that kind of little cross section. What's my favorite game? It's hard to say. Probably the game that I've played the most on Steam, at least, is a game called EU4 or Europa Universalis 4. It's a very deep game, but I don't really play it anymore. I just don't have the time. So that's the main thing that I have is I don't have time to play that many games anymore. But I'd probably say that one if you had me against the wall. No barking. No, yeah. It's not cool. No barky bark. Okay. And so the trouble with this is that I only have basically 2 things I can give you, and then I get, I guess, somewhere maybe down here, I have upgrades, right? And these are only really syncs, but they come in the form of, you know, more permission slots. We have well, I have played a lot of games. I just don't play as many now because I have a child and a full-time job. And then I stream the rest of the time. So I have played a lot of games in my past. I don't have that many in the roster right now. More permission slots, or like there's like stress reduction stuff. Those are kind of like the things that exist in this. I also have two corgis. Yes, he's cute, but very bothersome sometimes because he knows that there are Tritos and also just really wants a lot of love. And as soon as you stop giving him love, he likes to arf at you. But see if I can give him enough love that he's satisfied. Yeah. Yeah, he's let's see how much I can scratch him before he. Okay, I think it's because he like sees my hand right here, right? And he's like, that hand could be petting me instead, but it's not petting me. And then he gets very upset. Okay. So my thought, the dog will let me speak, is I was gonna add 2 more little columns here, or 2 more rows, for 2 other resources. And the resources were gonna be hunger and thirst. I was gonna make it thirst. Right? And the question is how do you actually handle the sinks there? But I'm gonna first show the gains. So the gains would be, obviously there's food that you take, and then there would be drinks that you would also find. Now, if I do... Can I change the size of the eraser? Or is that just not possible? Okay. That's cool. Let's go like this and then go like... Can I just delete this? Nope. I can go like that. Then just put it away. Just pretend it never existed. Alright, Kirby. Yeah, let's switch the doggos. Oh, well. He's, I also meant the Yorkie dog comment to you as a... Okay. I'm not always up to date on the lingos. I have a new dog now. See if she's better. Alright, ready up. Ciao. She's generally better. Now the idea of, so I was talking about food and drinks, and so the idea about the foods and drinks though is that food and drink can also have, why is this not writing anything? Sometimes my keyboard just dies. So food and drink can sometimes have other effects. So, for example, I wonder if I should be writing this in a doc instead of something else. Oh, you're really going through all the favorites, eh? I'd say probably like the most insightful song I've ever listened to is I'm trying to remember the band now. Is it? Yeah, it's Leonard Skinner. Simple Man by Leonard Skinner. I think you could live your life by that song in many ways. But that's what I'm kind of talking about. So it's not exactly going to be a hunger bar, but it is going to be a bar that represents hunger. But it's not like the kind of same sense that you have other, a lot of other games. So the idea is that, yeah, so food can have other effects. So for example, like they can reduce stress, reduce stress, heal, add temporary buff things, so like higher base speed or something, or Faster stamina regen, something like that, right? So they can do lots of things, but you consume them. So the thing is, they replenish this little bar, but they also have other effects. Now, the counter on that is if I were to, God, okay. I want to do select. And we'll take that to where no one sees it. And okay. Still gonna work on the drawbacks, but actually, effectively, it's the opposite that I should be doing. I could cut it, right? Ah, there we go. That's how you remove it. Okay. So the way that this goes down is with a sleep mechanic. Oh, girly. Just freaking out a bit, but she'll probably calm down. So what I'm thinking, so yeah, if you get 50% stressed, Joseph appears at that point. If you're at like 70% or 75, I think, he starts being able to like teleport nearer to you if you get too far away from him. And then at 100%, he just knows where you are constantly. So he's just constantly following you. You can't really get away from him anymore. Or it might be 95. I can't remember if it's 95 or 100. But yeah, he basically, it appears at 50 and then more dangerous as it increases. That's the idea. So the sleep mechanic, which is, I should really be writing this in a document instead of paint, probably. It's probably really badly presented here, but the sleep mechanic idea that I'm contemplating is basically you expend food, hunger, and thirst. To heal and reduce stress. Now, I guess I could make this just one bar. Like, I could just make this hunger. I don't really need thirst. But I think it's kind of good to have both of them, because then you have to make sure... There's just more things you have to then collect and kind of balance. But it's kind of two sides of the same coin in that aspect. I mean, they're interesting ideas. I'm not sure if, I mean, maybe not the heart attack, but like the getting the adrenaline. It's just like, it's harder to balance that. It feels harder to make it into a compelling mechanic, like for system wise. Like it makes sense thematically. It's just you either have to make that something that like you have to avoid or you die, but then like I know there's other things that are you're working against, right? So like right now the stress having Joseph being around you constantly is enough of I think mechanic that you'll not want it to be there. That's probably gonna be part of thirst in some aspect. But yeah, let me just try to get this explained first. So, sleep mechanic. So you expend hunger and thirst. Is there like a treat over there or something? Okay. Oh well, that's a good back shot there. Okay. Well, enjoy it, I guess, if you're one of those weird people. Uh, or what if adrenaline rush causes Joseph to sense you more? Well, I mean, that's what stress is. He just causes you to see you more. But the idea is, I guess, also passes time. Did my keyboard die again? Also passes time. Okay. Which actually I should be writing as a separate thing here. That we have is time. As in too much time passes, lab collapses, you die. The exact amount of time I haven't quite determined, but basically my concept is, right now at least, is like, hey, you have 10 days to find out the mystery, and then you get an escape route, and then you have to get out before that time happens. If you let too much time pass, you lose. So the sink, obviously, in this case, is sleeping. And it means that this you have to not just sleep all the time. And if you so yeah, you can't just sleep all the time, as it would just pass by time. You only have a certain amount of days. Each time you sleep, basically each time you sleep passes 1 day. Each sleep passes 1 day, basically. It's kind of my thought here. I got a message or something? I don't know what. I don't think it's anything important. Okay. You're good at stupid ideas. Maybe we can team up and you can filter them. Really good idea. Like, maybe the more you get hit, the slower you walk. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like, it's one of those game mechanics that, like, sometimes you don't actually want to be the most realistic game, you know? Like, people, like, advertise all these games as like, oh, this is so realistic. And then you realize that, like, you know, actually driving a truck in realistic modes and all these things, like, that's actually not as fun. It's just like Grand Theft Auto driving it, you know? Like, maybe it's more fun to do that, right? So you always want to, like, balance the fun with the realism. It has to kind of make sense, but it also has to still be fun. Okay, so then I was doing this stuff, sinks. So you actually only have this sink, but I just wanted to add a little extra note here that, or maybe I should be adding that in here anyways. Food or hunger and thirst have max, and after the max can't consume anymore, right? Like, there's a point anymore. So there's a point that if you drink too much or you eat too much, you can't have any more. Which, one, just stops you from wasting food, but also means that, like, for these temporary effects, you can't actually get those temporary effects if you're past that threshold, right? So the point is that you'll be managing which foods and drinks you're drinking on a particular day to get the benefits that you need to get the most out of every single day. Because basically, a day ends when you basically are either too stressed or too damaged to do anything more, and you need to sleep to heal that back. And then you reduce your food and reduce your hunger, and then you have to get more food and drinks to kind of replenish that. So I was thinking like thirst was just gonna like if low reduces stamina regen. It is seriously just, I don't know why my keyboard just like wants to constantly not connect. If low you reduce stamina regen at 0, you have none. So like if you actually get to 0, like you're like dying of thirst, you basically can't run at all, which is definitely going to be problematic for a lot of these enemies. You're not going to be like outrunning them. You're just going to be kind of slowly walking, dying. So you don't want to get that situation. The hunger one, I wasn't hugely sold on what I was doing yet. I was thinking of, I was going to reduce like your max health, but I'm not sure how that would work with like being healed and then reducing your max health. And then if you increase your hunger again after that, then would you heal back, or would you, I'm not quite sure how I want to make that work. So handicapped single player can be fun, then figure out ways to overcome it, but too many features, yeah. And so what happens when a day passes? The creatures get more aggro. It's not necessarily that they become more aggressive. It's just that there's a certain amount of things you have to do in those 10 days, right? So you have to explore enough of the environment to uncover basically the cause of the incident. And once you figure out the cause of the incident, then you're able to leave. And if you don't figure that out in time, then you lose. So that's why you can't just sleep all the time. How have you ever not stopped, made it pop? Is that like a song lyric you just randomly threw in there? You just like get text to speech on your song there? I don't know what that is. Yeah, hunger. I'm not entirely sure what I want to do. So the problem, like conceptually, with lowering, I like the conceptually, okay, so conceptually I like the idea of lowering your max health, right? But what that means is if we have, for example, your full bar and it's 100, just try this, right? Your 100 health, all right? Now say you fall asleep and you don't have enough food, and now I reduce your max health to 50. Well, do I just take off the 50? I could just take off the 50, so you now have 50 health out of 50 health. But then if you heal back up, if you then eat some food and you get back up to 100, Do we now heal you back up to 100? Does it scale? If it scales, that actually adds exploit options where you could actually like purposely go down to 50. And then you eat food and then you healed back up instantly. Even if you had like some damage. So like if you say you were at actually instead of 100 before you slept and you're at 80, you fall asleep, you purposely go down to 50, max 50, but then say you're at 40 health now, right? And then you use one set of bandages, which heals you back up to 50. Then you eat some food, then you're now back to 100 instead of having to use 2 bandages, which is what you're supposed to be able to use. So it's like weird things that happen when you can like dynamically move health up and down. So that's what I'm not so sure about. I guess it could, if you don't have enough food, it wouldn't heal you as much. So the weird thing is stamina is kind of like, that's an active, or it's like, it's a while you play effect, right? So if you have low thirst and you drink it up, it gets fixed, right? Whereas I could do it with food. What that does is if you sleep and you don't have enough, say like, I wish I could size this stupid tool size up. Like, I thought like this at least would have sizes, but I guess, oh wait, size. Does that affect this thing? Oh, it's still so small though. It's just small little eraser. Why are you so small? You know what, we'll just do this. Do the good old cutaway method. Cut away. Okay. And so have you added the feature where you get crushed by the door if you do? Well, your day is going to be ruined because I'm not going to crush the player because he sat in the middle of the doorway. This is basically me planning out how I'm going to handle more resources. So the thing that I was thinking of is, say you have the hunger bar and you have all right, okay, so you have 2 bars, right? Maybe. So one is your health bar, one is your hunger bar. So say we were at 50% health. Right? And I don't know what to represent hunger by, but okay. And then new bar. What just happened here? Okay. Yeah, let's make it orange or something. Okay, this is your hunger bar. If when we rest, we take, so we had 50 hunger and 50 health. We can deplete the hunger bar to add to the health bar. So you would add 50 and now you're at 0 hunger, but you're back at 100 health, right? So you healed up, but then now resting will not do anything for you until you fill up that hunger bar again, at least on the health level. I mean, maybe I could do something similar with thirst and stress. Do something like that. Yeah, I'm trying to make a I'm trying to make a hunger and thirst system that isn't passive, in the sense like most systems that you have that involve hunger and thirst, they're like passively ticking down over time, right? And so it's something you gotta manage time wise. And if you don't eat things, you know, you're gonna get hungry, and then you have to go and do things. And it's like, I don't want that like constant pressure to keep doing things as much. I feel like they aren't very, they just are very negative motivation loops, right? Like they don't really have any positive aspects to them. They're purely just like, if you don't eat food, you're gonna die. Which, yes, that's realistic, but it's not very fun, right? And so what I want to try to create is something that gives you some motivations. Like you do need to get these things, but I don't want to make it time constrained, like real time, like playtime constrained. The only thing that I'm doing for that is for stress. That's the only one, but that also only increases while you're in the dangerous lab situations. Sorry. Do you have a player model, or is this big capsule? It's more that I want to just like create interesting, compelling game mechanics. And I like the idea of food and drink. I just don't like how a lot of them games do it. So I want to see if I can make something slightly different. And so if you eat hunger, that slowly depletes and goes into health. No. This is so when you sleep, basically. When you this whole thing here is when you sleep, you would deplete your hunger, and then it would add to your health. That's the kind of idea. And then you can slowly build up your hunger back up again, but you can't fill it to max, right? You can only get it up to max. Which means, I guess, if you don't get damaged very much, you don't need to rest, right? Which you didn't need to do anyways. If you never really get damaged and you don't have much stress, you don't really need to rest as much. The only thing I don't like about that much is that, like, then how does thirst go down? Because if this is like I'm expending food for health, is it then thirst gets expended for stress? If that's the case, it doesn't really feel right. You know, it doesn't feel like it links nicely up there. It kind of just it is something. Like, it's just like, oh, I needed something for stress, and so thirst is it, right? Like it doesn't feel intuitive or great in that way. And it might be better if I had some sort of thing of decreasing them both by a static amount and just full healing you every single day. But it could work. Because if I'm doing both of them, I'd have to do like both being decreased by a flat amount, and then you heal and reduce stress by a, kind of like another flat amount. If it's 1-to-1, it would have to be hunger to food, health, and thirst to stress. Hey, Aubrey. Thanks for trying out the game. I assume you're the Aubrey that was in Foxhollow's Discord. It's the non-stop switching of accounts. Thanks. I don't know if you want to can explain some of the things I'm looking at now. Is designing can give doggo treats. Up. So what I'm trying to figure out right now is, so I don't have these two right now, and I don't have time, but I have health and stress, right? And right now I have bandages and sedatives to heal when you take damage or gain stress. But those by themselves just are items and you're picking them up. But that's like not really a full loop. And I only have so many upgrades that I can kind of make at this current point. And so put fake doggo to the side. What I was thinking is, at one point I was thinking combat, but I think that's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna feel nice in this game. And so I was thinking of adding hunger and thirst mechanics in, but it may be a slightly different way than a lot of other games do it. I'm not a huge fan of them depleting passively. But yeah, basically, yeah, I always try to like plan out kind of things. If it's a simple system that I can like, it's straightforward enough, I just kind of write it. But like for these type of things, I kind of need to think them out and how they're going to work. It's not necessarily that I don't like combat in all horror games. I just feel like, especially this one, you're already handling right mouse button, which would be aim down sight in a lot of games, I think. And you're trying to do Morse code while shooting things, and also I then have to make like smaller enemies that can be killed, and then I would have to I would still not want like the big guys of Steve and Joseph not being unkillable. So you'd still have a bunch of things, and just adds so much more complexity. Where I kind of like the simplicity of there's just only a few enemies that you have to deal with at one time. But yeah, basically, yeah, the player's interaction is using gates and like environment stuff to kind of get through the environment and survive. I'm still gonna have like the idea is that I might still have like gadgets and stuff that you can maybe like trap them for periods of time, or like slow them down and stuff, so you can kind of have a little bit of like grace period of time. But there's nothing that's gonna like kill them outright. But yes, for the main problem though is with the current systems that I have is I need people to want to open chests, because if you're not opening the chests, you're not going to be listening to the Morse code, and you're not going to be listening, and you're not going to be learning. Yeah, that is definitely true. I think there's some games that do it well. Like I think that like the Alien Isolation games had like guns in combat, but you aren't necessarily killing them. And there's other games I think that have done it well. I can't think of exactly which ones, but like there are games that like make the resource management aspect of it hard. Like you're like trying to survive, the survival horror kind of aspect of it. But there's definitely games like Doom, which they're not really horror games though. They're just boomer shooter games. But yeah, the main thing again, I was trying to make it is so that I have a system that requires the player to pick up a lot of loot. If the player is not wanting to or doesn't need to pick up a lot of things, that means they're not going to open up chests, and that means they're not going to learn. So I need to have things that do that properly. And so the current sinks that I have aren't good enough to do that. So what I want to do potentially is, so I add hunger and thirst as little bars that you have to manage. You find now food and drink type things that you can use, and they also potentially have other effects. So they can, besides just filling up the hunger and thirst bars, they can maybe heal you. They could reduce stress. They could potentially add little other buffs to you for a little while. But they do have a maximum, and if you hit the maximum, you can't consume any more of them. So you can't just kind of keep stacking up heals or other things if you've hit the food or drink max. So if you want to just look at the code and move, you press Q. Tab needs to not have the player move because you need to be able to type in codes. And yes, he's supposed to walk through doors. He's a ghost. He doesn't care about doors. It's his thing. And so I'm just trying to figure out now, though, how I sync the food and other things. Yeah. And because I don't like the passive lowering of like hunger and thirst meters. They intuitively make sense, right? People just intuitively understand them, but they're not fun. They're just punishing mechanics, kind of the nature of them. They don't have any really nice effects, and you're kind of then forced to like really make sure that every single moment of your gameplay is like time efficient, which I want. Stress is that mechanic for my game right now, like if you're outside in the lab, but I also don't want it to happen in the like the safe zones, and I don't want to have like all these other things that you have to manage over time. I think probably just stress accumulating over time is enough. And so I was thinking that I would have this idea that when you go to sleep, you'd be able to go to sleep. It would heal you and reduce your stress, but it would lower your thirst and stamina whenever you do that. And then there would be penalties for having low hunger and low thirst, but you kind of exchange them for health and stress. So as soon as you rest, as long as you have food and stuff to recuperate, then you kind of are back in the game. And so I'm just trying to figure out if that works or not. I mean, it would be simpler to just have it go down over time, probably similar to like stress and stuff. I could make it, even though it doesn't like make any sense, but I could just make it that hunger and thirst don't go down while you're like in the safe zone. Just because I want to have some area where you don't have to like worry about that. So they could just passively increase. Then I don't need this sleep mechanic as well. I could still have it. I could still lower things and just still do healing. But it would mean it'd be easier to manage, like easier probably to convey to people. And it's easier to set up, because like a lot of people I don't think are going to understand the system if I make it like this exchange system. But low. We're gonna go back to the what does hunger do if it's low? Should probably do something to your health. Do you take more damage if you get hungry or something? Well, I guess if it passively goes down, you can't really have the effects of like heal and stuff, though. When you can, it's just it makes those things less balanceable. So maybe it's better to still do the other thing. All right, I'll pet the doggo. Come on, dog. Can you come up? Up, Eddie. Come up. I have to bribe her with a treat to pet her, probably. Up. Up. Ooh. Oh no. Oh no. She got a treat and a pet. Very lucky doggo. Good girlie. Good girlie. Okay. So. So. So yeah, I'm just kind of stuck in this loop of I have hunger, I have thirst, but like, how do I want them to work? I do kind of like the idea of the sleep mechanic, reducing the stuff, but I keep going back and forth on this. I just need to think of when I sleep. How does that work? Is there like intuitively bad things that happen if your health is low or if your hunger is low? Did I give you enough treats, girly? Right? Like, yeah. Health is low. I mean, if hunger is low, it should probably have some sort of effect on health. Or do you get more stressed easily? Welcome back. You guys have any ideas on like what should happen if you're hungry? Besides being a mean person. Oh, okay. Back and then gone. Alright, see you then. Hunger, thirst. Alright, have a good family dinner. Might just have to put this on the burner for a bit. Let it cook. Let it stew in my brain. I'll come back to it. Because I'm not sure. Okay. So yeah, we'll have to come back to that. I can just work on probably more of the inventory stuff that I have been working on. In the meantime, I think, right. So I'll try to fix more of that. And I'll come back to the whole system of that later, because I feel like I'm hitting a wall on that still. But I don't want to waste time just staring at that screen if I can avoid it. Nice. Oh.
So my keyboard. Hmm. Hmm. Good little Mars bar. All right. Why are you taking so long? So I should just move this over now. Wee. Yeah. I'm just also going through feedback that Aubrey posted here just to say. Yeah, I mean, the graphic stuff is stuff I'll eventually add. I'm just not doing it right now. And do with the chest at first. And notice is that the shadow creature. Yeah. Yeah. So that's all kind of intentional. Load game, new game, no game, new game. I'll load the game. I seem to remember kind of where I left off in this system. Hmm. Right. I think the next thing was I had to figure out something to handle dropping. Joseph's gonna appear in a second, so let me just. Ah, damn it. Not in a cheat build. Not cool. Let's just. Add that back. Okay. All right, and then while it's compiling, I'm gonna kind of think of the dropping system. So to some aspect, if I drop something on the ground, it's gonna need to be going through the spawn item pickup system. Because it's basically just creating one of these things on the ground, and the player's kind of current rotation in position. Probably also has to be something that, like, if there's a bunch of them on the ground, they kind of space apart. So we'll see how that works, but. Okay. It has data. Now, what are the two references here? The generic and spawn chest, right? Current level is level save data. Each level has one of these guys. There's a bunch of item state data. And I could add them to here, but I think it's almost better if I didn't do that and instead we made a separate list. Probably still item data, but specifically for like dropped items. And then when I load them up, I can kind of handle that. What did I just paste there? Yeah, I mean, it's just random, so it's going to happen. Especially because the first few letters are kind of a small pool. But OpenAI. The only problem that is that when item pickup comes in, this data actually doesn't have the save data or the item info. So I might actually need to create a different thing to store that. You okay, man? So yeah, I might need a different class to handle this. So this thing is effectively just a list of save datas. And I could I could save like the position and the rotation in here and everything, but I don't know if I want to do that like that. Might be better to just have a Let's just write something. Sky. And so I'm going to have a dropped item class, which is going to be system.serializable. And I'm just wondering whether or not I want to have one of these things in it, or it should be it. I think I'm going to go with it'll extend this. But it'll have a public vector 3 position. I'll have a public quaternion rotation. I think that's how I spell rotation. And then, so this is rotation, position, public, string, item type, and public int item amount. Okay. All right. Okay. So I think that's all the information we need, and then we can pass the rest into item pickup. So the idea is that when we drop an item, we will create item pickups based on this position information, and then we will store that, and then if we pick them up, we will like remove them. It's kind of my thought here. And then, do I need other things? I think I do. So we'll make a public dropped item constructor that takes position. All right. Vector 3 position quaternion rotation. Then I should also I'll put the item instance first. Then we'll have the non-constructor version. As well. So if we do this way, we're gonna basically be setting this dot position equals position. This dot rotation equals rotation. And then item type will equal to item instance dot name or dot item data dot name, and then item amount equals the item item amount, item instance, yeah, dot count. Okay. So we have both of these. That should be enough. I'm just trying to figure out the flow. So do I want to make it so that what manager should handle dropped items? It'd probably have to be a level manager. But it has to make sure it gets added to effectively what's going to be a list here of public dropped items. It's new list here, right? Okay. Yeah, so what's gonna manage adding, dropping stuff to this? Totally zoned out there for a moment. I'm feeling a little loopy, I don't know. Weird. To some degree, I could, in this situation, probably just spawn the thing straight here. So I could go something like, I'd have maybe like a public item pickup, spawn pickup, and I might even have a private version of this. That would take an item instance. So this one would just return, I'd have to create an item instance, which this is like from load situation. So we would go and create a item data. So we'd have to go to the item database manager .db .get item type, and then we go .spawn instance. Item amount. If item instance equals null for some reason, then we would return null, and we probably want to error could not find item type of, let's make this a format thingy. Item type of item type. And then we or spawn. Okay, anyways, and then otherwise we're gonna return spawn pickup of our item instance. And then in this situation, we're gonna call spawn pickup item instance. I wonder if in this flow what if I made it instead? Oh, because the other part is that when I drop an item, necessarily it has to come from the inventory manager, right? So like, kind of, it have to be coming from there. So the inventory system is probably going to have something to create this. I could just call that from there. Basically, I just go in this. I would go return item pickup dot spawn pickup. I'm putting in item instance. I'm putting in this. I'm putting in position, and I'm putting in rotation. Wait, what? Really? Unity engine. There we go. So then it's just whether I don't know if I want to make this just a constructor. It seems weird that it's a constructor that does all of these type of things. I feel like it's probably more proper to go public static create create and drop item. it will take these. And then I'll make this private, but then just return it. Because then, I don't know, I feel like it's a little bit clearer. What that's doing. And this still will act as the public one for all of these. Like for when it's serialized and reserialized and stuff. Okay. So then I need to go probably to inventory manager next. Inventory manager, manager. Yeah, so let's go to inventory manager. It is effectively removing an item, but it's a different step, right? It's actually kind of different because I actually want to take the item. I don't want to like make a new item. I just want to drop the entire item, I think. I don't see a reason why I would drop half of an item. You can like do splitting and stuff that goes to a different other section there. Isn't it Shady's back, not Davy's back? Or is that your own little twist? I thought it was Shady. But won't the real Slim Shady please stand up? You know? I do know that reference. So drop item. Ah. You're doxing yourself already, I see. Well then. That's your choice. I guess there's a few Davids though. Yeah. It's hugely identifiable. You know, there's only so many Davids in the world, right? Okay. So basically what I want to do in drop item, in case you missed it, I'm basically taking a little break from the little brainstorming thing. I not quite sure where I'm gonna go with it yet, so I'm just gonna leave it and figure it out. I'm just doing more of just inventory management stuff, so I can like drop items now, or I'm working on getting it so that I can drop items. So if list dot remove item instance I'm trying something. Drop item. Okay. So if I want to drop an item, I'm basically going to call this. I'm going to put it in the item instance. I then check the type. I get the list of all those contained in the inventory. I try to remove it. If I'm successful at removing the item instance, then I'm going to go dropped. Where did I just add this thing? Map save data? Yeah, but it's actually part of map save data. What I might do is I might actually add a public void add dropped item here, and we're just going to take item instance vector 3 position again, and quaternion dot rotation. There's definitely going to be, I think, more monsters. The idea is that like each level kind of like randomly assigns like a monster kind of right now, is my thought. And then you would kind of go from there. But it might still like by random chance be the same monster or not. I kind of thought. I was thinking, yeah, there's just be different ones. They're gonna have different effects. They're not all gonna be like Steve, where he just smashes doors and stuff. So we'll see what I think about them. One idea I had was adding like kind of like a robot-y thing. All right. Some sort of like freaky robot that would like might shoot at you, so it has like more ranged attacks, and you have to really be avoiding it. But it's not gonna. It's pretty slow, so you could run away from it, but it would kind of be patrolling around. That's kind of one idea. One of them that I want to make, but I'm not sure if I want to make it more of like a boss type encounter or not, is this idea of like I was gonna have twin, like I was calling like the twins, and one of these twins would not like you showing their flashlight, and one of them like you needed to show them, like flash them with the flashlight. And the way that would kind of play out is that they would have like a sound that they would make, each of them, when they get loaded. One second, I'm just gonna quickly game map manager dot instance dot current level dot add dropped item instance, and then this would just be transform, or I guess I would get the base character. Character. Just, calling me, but I'll call him back. Character, transform. Call it back after I end the stream, which is gonna be fairly shortly. Because baby has already not woken up, but the wife's just dealing with him for a little bit. I mean, I definitely don't disagree with this. So definitely, SCP. I love that franchise. Well, it's not even a franchise this time. The annoying thing about I mean, I guess like it's cool that they did this as a thing, but everything that's SCP related is public domain, right? Due to the licensing that they set up, so you can add to it, but like you can't seemingly sell games that use it, which I think is kind of unfortunate. So all the games that are made are free, which is cool for the consumer, for sure, but it just means that I won't want to make any games that are using any SCP things because I can't profit out. I can't make any money from making that game and spending all the time making it. So I might be wrong on that, but that's kind of how I interpreted it when I looked into it. But there are some really cool things that they have in that world. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely not gonna have time to do this. I need to like to call this from inventory screen. Let me just quickly go into this thing. I need to add a checklist. Sure. Add an item. So the first item is gonna be right, add drop button to inventory screen. And then the other one is going to be load dropped items in, I guess, load back dropped items. No, I can't do it. Okay. So those are kind of my two next big things. Is my big text not showing in the stream? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Okay, I'm just gonna start looking into people to raid. So we'll be wrapping up, but then as well, I'm going to be. I was gonna explain. Yeah. So the other monster that I had in mind was having a monster that there's two kind of sides of them. One of them that if you shine them with a flashlight, they actually like attack you. And then the other version of them is that they kind of show up, and unless you like shine your flashlight on them, they will attack you. So if you shine your flashlight on them, they kind of like get scared and run away. But if you don't do that for the other ones, then for the other version, if you do shine your flashlight at all of them, they like attack you. So it's kind of like this back and forth, and you have to hear what one it is, like either through Morse code or through some sort of a signaling device. And when you realize that, then you have to kind of react accordingly. But they're kind of like this passive threat that kind of comes back and forth while ever you're on a level. And so I wasn't sure to use those guys as kind of like maybe like a higher level boss fight, because that's a really cool mechanic I like. Or if I was just going to make them one of the kind of more passive enemies that just exist on a per level basis. So still have to think about that, but that's kind of that. I'm gonna turn into this mode. I am going to just sign off with this. If you haven't checked it out, I'm pretty sure everyone here has checked it out. But we're gonna go raid morse. I think I finally typed it in correctly on the first try. Whoop me. I'm gonna go. What the? Okay, I need to refresh this page, I think. Second. Oh yeah, just send it to me on Discord. We can do that. And yeah, let's go raid Primer. Say hello to him. So, I'll see you guys over there, and I'll probably have to head out pretty quickly, but I'm just gonna hang out for a minute and then say hello and then head out. But I'll see you guys over there in just a minute. Bye bye.